Hello everyone, and welcome to Blue Spoon Veggie. As the nights draw in and we slide further into autumn, my thoughts have turned to stocking up the store cupboard. I think the topic of what foods to keep stored in your cupboards is a pretty vast one. Even if I made a Netflix-style series, offers welcome, I still couldn't cover everything. So this is the first of two pantry videos. This time I'll be chatting about lentils, rice and grains, tomato products, beans, and pasta and noodles, and some of the ways you can best make use of them. Next time, I'll move on to oils, vinegars, nuts, pantry vegetables, and ingredients that add flavour like dried herbs and spices. If you're not already subscribed, please click the subscribe button below. It's totally free, and I hope you find something useful here to help you plan and use your pantry foods. Let's start by taking a look at lovely lentils. Cheap, nutritious, easy to store, quick to cook. What's not to love about lentils? The types of lentils I have in the house changes over the months, with the exception of red lentils, which I always have in stock. Red lentils have a permanent storage jar as the familiar face of the lentil selection. I mainly use these quick cooking lentils to make soup. To make a simple soup, here I'm sautéing some onion and garlic, adding chunks of queen squash that I froze another day, and red lentils. Add some vegetable stock and garam masala, then just simmer until everything is softened, blend and serve, with cream if you like. I store other dry lentils in their original packaging, all together in a basket to take up less space than individual jars. Let's take a look at what's in the basket just now. The first bag contains peas and not lentils, but I also use them in soups, so they're welcome in the lentil basket. Pui lentils, expensive, but they work nicely as a side dish, like in this warm roast vegetable and feta salad. These lentils are also green speckled lentils, the same variety as pui, but are not grown in the required part of France, so are much cheaper. Some more green lentils and some brown lentils, both great for soups, curries and chili. Hiding in the corner are the glamorous black beluga lentils. I like to simmer these tiny lentils in vegetable stock with a dash of white wine until tender. They cook in just 15 minutes and have a delicate flavour and creamy texture. Add a drizzle of wine vinegar, extra virgin olive oil, and a sprinkle of seasoning. Serve with roasted vegetables as a side dish or a light main course. Although they are more expensive than dried, it's also handy to keep some pre-cooked lentils, like these sachets, cans and jars, so you can add them straight into lasagnas, curries and stews. These bijou vert or green jewel lentils have a tender texture which works well in lasagna. Drain jarred or canned lentils and give them a good rinse before using. Then add to a passata-based sauce to make a tasty lasagna filling. Lentils have an affinity with so many flavours, but particularly spices, and coconut milk, so my aubergine and lentil coconut curry combines these nicely using these jarred brown pardina lentils. I could talk about lentils for much longer, but let's leave it there and move on now. When you're planning the space in your store cupboard, it's important to be realistic about how much of each food your household can use up. Let's talk about different types of rice as an example. In my house, we get through a lot of rice. I keep 4 kinds of rice stocked: jasmine, arborio, basmati and rice for paella. I store basmati in this large container and decant a more usable amount into a jar. It's always a good idea to keep an eye out for an offer when you're restocking your cupboards. For instance, I get through by far the most basmati rice, so when I stock up, I really stock up, but only because I know we can use it all up. Tilda is my favourite brand of basmati rice, but it's not the cheapest brand available. Depending on the pack size, the price ranges from £8 a kilo for boil-in-the-bag portions, right down to the price I paid, £2.35 per kilo. As well as serving basmati as an accompaniment to curries, add a few more ingredients and you'll have a flavourful red pepper rice. You can also use basmati rice in many main dishes, like my butternut and paneer pilau or veggie jambalaya. I'll pop links to all the videos I mentioned down below. I keep much smaller stocks of jasmine, paella and arborio rice, so they don't go to waste, even though that means the unit price will be higher. I use jasmine just as a side dish, and arborio for risottos, as in these beetroot and asparagus risottos, both topped with goat cheese. To make a lovely vegetarian paella, see the link below. Full of Spanish-inspired flavours, chickpeas and peppers, it feels luxurious, but is actually quite quick to make. Along with rice, other grains like bulgur wheat are handy to keep in your pantry. I like to make a quick spiced pilau from bulgur wheat for a change from rice. The texture is chewier and the nutty flavour pairs well with the butter and spices. Embellished with some pistachios and goat cheese at the end, this makes a delicious side dish. There are two kinds of food that we treat as grains, although one is a seed and the other more like pasta. Firstly, highly nutritious and gluten-free, quinoa is popular with many vegans and vegetarians. Sadly, quinoa doesn't agree with me, so I don't personally cook with it. Couscous is often used in a similar way to rice or bulgur wheat in a meal, although it is actually tiny granules of semolina rather than a grain. I keep it stocked in two forms, plain whole wheat, which has a nutty flavour, and also this Al Fez brand, which has added spices, sultanas and pine nuts. For a flavourful packed lunch, rehydrate plain couscous and mix through hot or cooled roasted vegetables in a homemade tomato sauce with mini mozzarella. I still like to personalise the packeted couscous when I serve it as a side dish, so I add a squeeze of lemon and a drizzle of olive oil, which really adds to the flavour. Here I'm serving it with aubergines and peas in a shop-bought Moroccan-style sauce topped with halloumi. The next food that I always keep in my store cupboard is tomatoes. Canned chopped tomatoes, sieved smooth passata and tomato puree. I would be lost without these products. I think many cooks would. I keep a variety of brands of canned tomatoes and use them in slightly different ways when I cook. If the dominant flavour in the dish will be tomato, like in this tomato and pepper soup, rather than other strong flavours like spices, then I would recommend using your best brand then. Try to buy several bottles when you find it on offer. Passata is also handy for topping a home-assembled pizza. I like to use garlic flatbread for this, but you could use naan bread or make your own pizza dough if you like. Simply add some salt, pepper and dried herbs to a small amount of passata, then spread over the bread before topping with grated cheese. I've also added some griddled courgette slices and another sprinkle of pepper, and then just bake for 10 to 15 minutes. This bean bake with cheese dumplings is a good recipe for more economical canned chopped tomatoes. The spices mean that the tomatoes are just one of a crowd of flavours that combine to make a tasty dish. Use canned tomatoes to make pasta dishes like this roasted veg and black bean lasagna, or a versatile tomato sauce to turn into a pasta sauce or vegetable tarts. Tomato puree has a very concentrated flavour, so just add a little along with your passata or canned tomatoes to boost the flavour. Now let's move on to beans, a great cheap and nutritious staple that can be used in a wide variety of cooking. Although it is cheaper to cook up your own dried beans, it's useful to keep some canned beans in the house too. A classic veggie bean dish, this one is vegan, is chili. You can pick your bean of choice for chili, but this one uses delicate black-eyed beans, and I think it's lighter than some chilies. Black-eyed beans are also very nice in curries. Mixed beans, this one is an impressive blend of 8 beans and also chickpeas, are endlessly versatile. I use these in my bean bake recipe, and you could also add them to salads, soups, chili, and baked dishes. I like to add beans to hearty pasta dishes like lasagna. This one has black beans in it. Blend it with 2 teaspoons of tahini, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and 1 tablespoon of cold water, the juice of half a lemon, plus some seasoning. Cannellini beans make a lovely dip to serve with pita chips or crackers. I also love to blend beans into soups to give a creamy texture. This is a good idea if you're trying to subtly introduce more beans to your own or others' diets. This roasted veg and white bean soup uses haricot beans, or you could use cannellini beans, and is healthy and delicious. Another bean soup, this time a minestrone that I'm working on my own recipe for, which leaves the beans whole. These beautiful pink beans are borlotti beans and make this bountiful garden of a soup into a hearty meal. Now on to the final sections in this first part of my pantry videos, pasta and noodles. My pasta storage setup is very similar to how I store lentils. I frequently change what pasta I have in stock, so I store the open packets together in a couple of baskets. Pasta is frequently on offer, so it's easy to try different brands and shapes. I do always have lasagna sheets. I've already mentioned 2 of the lasagnas I make. The black bean one is linked below. Macaroni is always handy to keep in stock too. Try making this cheese and spinach macaroni bake for a low-cost, cosy dinner. As well as serving tagliatelle with homemade or bought tomato sauces, try fusilli with this creamy asparagus sauce and penne with ratatouille sauce and goat's cheese. All of these recipes are linked below. In terms of noodles, I store dried, fine egg noodles and these rice noodles. You can rehydrate them in 5 minutes, then add straight into curries like this laksa-inspired curry. And that wraps up part 1 of the Stocking the Store Cupboard videos. I hope you found this part useful. Please give me a thumbs up if you did, and thanks for watching. See you next time.